I would love to welcome my guest and let her introduce herself. Okay. So happy for her to be here and give us a little bit
Thank
about her
you.
journey.
My name is Sharice Tareva. My clients call me their trauma mama, and I have called myself and trademarked Rebirth Initiator. I help women through sexual trauma. We take their sexual trauma and we transmute it into their motherfucking triumph. Wait, I can cuss on here, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure. That's gonna happen a lot. um, I'll give a little bit of a background about myself. I help these women in my 13-week program called the Rebirth Initiation Academy. But my journey to where I am now has not been easy. As you said before, there, disclaimer, trigger warning. I was born into 3 generations of sexual trauma, mental, emotional trauma, and abuse, and physical abuse and physical trauma. My Am I sharing that? I guess so, because I was about to say it. So I'm gonna let spirit guide this session.
Okay.
My mother was conceived by being, my mom was raped, and my mother was conceived in that rape. My mom later married that man because back in the day, a shotgun wedding, you do this to my daughter, you're gonna marry her now, type of thing. Trauma, generational trauma. That same person molested my mom when she was a teenager. So I was in my mother's womb, and my mom was in her womb, and not to mention the emotional and sexual trauma that my great grandmother experienced. So I came in with that trauma in my womb, in my blood. I inherited it. When I was 19, I was forced into human and sex trafficking. And that, I feel like, when I say this, people are confused, but it makes sense to me after I learned about my mother's trauma and how she was conceived and what my mom dealt with in her life. I was like, oh, so no wonder I was trafficked. No wonder I was molested when I was a little girl. No wonder I don't remember these things. No wonder I had daddy issues. Like, there's so many layers to it. So that is part of my journey, and that's why I'm so passionate about helping women with sexual trauma. It's not an easy thing to talk about. It's like taboo. People don't even want to admit to experiencing sexual trauma. It's very much like, ooh, that didn't happen to me, so please don't talk to me about it. And
Right.
it's like consent. Lack of consent is sexual trauma. Somebody touching you and speaking to you in a way that makes your body uncomfortable and makes you do this is assault. We got to call it what it is. We have to stop sugarcoating this shit. When you
Right.
were a little girl and there was that uncle that you didn't want to hug and they told you to hug his ass anyway, trauma. We're no longer in the era of what happened in this house stays in this house. That was our grandparents and maybe our parents, depending on how old you are. This is the era of, this happened to me. Now it wasn't my fault. It's my responsibility to take responsibility for my healing. And also, what happened in my house or in my family, it has the potential to really set me free and to help so many other women.
Right.
So that's the era I'm in. I'm this super full moon in Aquarius got me activated. I am like riot, revolution. It's a movement. Like we gotta reclaim our bodies. We gotta reclaim our power. And the only way to do that is to acknowledge that it happened in the first place. So that's a little bit about myself.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was loaded, but it's your truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just like taking all that in what you just said. But we'll dive into it. Can you
Mm-hmm.
share your journey and what led to the traumatic experiences of sexual trauma, trafficking, and molestation in your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've actually just uncovered a childhood sexual trauma. Now, I know that I was touched when I was 4. I've also have recollection of being sexually assaulted when I was 7, but there was one that just came up in a healing modality that I went to myself a couple of months ago when I was 5 that I had no recollection of whatsoever. So those traumatic incidences, I don't think I could say what led to it besides the direct connection to the matriarch in my family. But the trafficking, for sure, I could give you some background on that. But little girl, there is nothing that leads to that. Even the 7-year-old situation was from another 7-year-old, so like that was taught. You know what I mean? It is the responsibility of parents to make sure their children are safe, so this work doesn't have to be done. That's again why I'm so passionate about this work. Like when I eventually have daughters and my nieces, like they never going to deal with this shit because it stops with me. I'm making sure that I'm doing the work required so that they can live in a world where they're not like, ugh, I'm 38, I'm 45, and I'm recovering from my sexual trauma. Nah, they're not even going to, if I have anything to do with it, they're not even going to have to deal with that shit because I am rewiring that on such a deep and subconscious level and generational level. So there's that about the childhood sexual trauma. The trafficking actually was the young man that trafficked me pretended to be my boyfriend at first. So I hear this story a lot from a lot of women who are open to speaking about it, because who the fuck wants to admit that they were trafficked? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when, and this is going left, but I'll bring it back. I remember when I first, like, out loud admitted to being trafficked, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. One of my girlfriends had a nonprofit, and she had asked me all these questions. Her nonprofit was called at the time Sisters of the Streets. And she had voluntarily been in sex work and sex trafficking, and she wanted to help women get off of the street. So she had asked me to answer all these questions and share it. So she shared it on her platform, but I didn't share it on mine. And I woke up after answering the questions like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to share it on my platform. And the response I got from sharing that I was trafficked, it was like 85% like, oh my God, your story's inspiring. And that like 15% that said the other, my boyfriend's mom at the time was like, oh, we don't do whores. Like, we don't do that. You gotta get rid of her. Like, she's a hoe. And there were other people that said other things also. And it's like that 15%, girl, that's all I heard at the time. Cause that was like maybe 8 or 9 years ago, when maybe almost 10 years ago, when I first like shared it out loud. And it made me go right back into like my hermit shell and be like, oh no, I'm never telling anybody again. And I went back into my cave, and I was quiet about it until about 2020, when I was like, I can't not share this anymore. Like, I had that pull, that pull you feel like in your heart and in your gut, where it's like, oh, you have something to share, you have to share it. You can help a lot of people. And that's around the time that COVID happened also, which was very traumatic. And I had moved out of being a poker massage girl, and I had started this business mentoring program, and it was like, cool, let's do it. Like, fuck it. Like, what do we have to lose at this point? But to go back to what led to that, it was really, I was going through shit at home with my mom at the time, who is no longer living. And I couldn't stay there with the man that she was dating. I was having these crazy thoughts about hurting this man, and I don't like to hurt people physically. It's just not, I don't like to. I won't knock if I buck. don't hit me or anything like that. But it's not in my nature. Like, my nature is like, I'm a sweetie pie. Like, honestly. But I'm sassy, so I don't. But I had to leave because I didn't have to leave. I chose to leave. And actually met this man when I was in a low period of my life. And I met him, and everything in my body at that time, I wasn't aware of what intuition was or what the signs were and when spirit spoke to me. Like, I wasn't hip to that yet. I was about 19, so it was like, and the light just flashed over here. I just wasn't there yet. I wasn't where I am now. And everything in my body was like, ooh, girl, he like missing a tooth in the front. Like there were just so many things that were like red flags. He's a drug dealer, like on and on and on. And I was like, well, his situation is probably better than where I'm at right now. So I kind of like jumped ship. And he wined and dined me for like a week. And then we were intimate pretty fast. And one thing led to another. And I remember he told me what I was going to do. And I remember laughing at him, being like, ninja. I'm not doing that. Like, you got me fucked up. And him being like, well, I know where your mom and your, at the time, my younger sibling, I know where they live. And my mom was sick. My mom been sick my entire life. And I was like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Cause like if he hurts them, like that's all I have. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I remember going to leave and him like smacking the shit out of me and dragging me all the way back to the other side of the room and me fighting him. I get this, and I'm sorry, but we did trigger warning at the top of this. I don't want to every time say trigger warning. The whole episode is a fucking trigger warning. I remember people asking me when I share this with them, being like, well, why didn't you leave? Or why didn't you call to get for help? Or you didn't fight him back? Fought for my life. Like, that's a man. I'm fighting a man. Well, there's not much I could do. At the end of the day, our body man, you know, he's a man. He's a lot bigger than me. And I was scared. He had groomed me enough to the extent that I thought if I told somebody, like he was literally going to harm my mom and my younger sibling. And when I say I love them more than I loved life itself back then, like that was real. So that is what led to that. We could talk about whatever else you want to, but I feel like I completed that question.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you begin to realize that what you were experiencing was more than just isolated incidents, but a pattern of exploitation?
In the human trafficking, yes.
Yes.
Immediately. It wasn't. There was never a question. That's why I fought so hard, because I was like, "Yo, I'm not. This is not me. This is not what I want to do. I don't. I remember his. So he wasn't. He was not into human trafficking. His brother was, and I remember his brother seeing me one day when we were hanging out where he was hustling at and being like, "Oh, she's pretty. You should put her on a track." And he was like, "Oh no, she's a good girl. I'm not doing that to her." Blah 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 blah. And I felt like his brother applied pressure so much, and not this isn't me making excuses for him, because ain't no fucking excuse. But I feel like he just kept saying it so much, and you are the common denomination of the people you hang with. So if that's what his brother does, and that's who he hangs around all the time, eventually he's going to get in that world. If you hang around a bunch of spiritual baddies and that burn sage and are into healing and like the garden, you eventually going to end up in somebody's garden burning some sage, being spiritual. If you are around people who are addicted to anything, you're eventually going to be who you are around. You are a product of your environment, no matter how you want to look at it. It is what it is. You don't have to succumb to the circumstances in your environment, but most people subconsciously are not aware enough to fight those battles, those internal battles. So I knew exactly what he meant. I wasn't, there was never a time where I was like, oh, maybe this is a one-time thing. Oh no, I was clear, which is why I didn't want to do it. And yeah, it actually didn't last long. Like it didn't last a year. Like I wasn't out there for a year. I was out there for maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe 9 months. I can't really remember the time frame, but it was definitely under a year.
Okay. So what was your mental and emotional state during these experiences? How did you cope in the moment?
Oof, that's a good question. You're the first person that's asked me that question about this situation. Yeah. And I love you for that. That's an important question. Nobody's ever asked me that question.
Oh, I do my homework, okay?
I appreciate that. You the real deal, okay? Whew. My mental and emotional health and just where I was in a really dark place. I definitely, again, I'm not going to say trigger warning every time, but I definitely went back and forth with like, I shouldn't even be here. You know what I mean? Like, I should just, if this is what my life is going to be, I got to go. Like, this is not for me. How I coped was I smoked a lot. I smoked a lot of weed, a lot of weed. I would drink here and there, but I was 19, so I really wasn't getting served anywhere. But yeah, I would just smoke. I was just dumb high all the time because I was like, I cannot believe this is my fucking life. Like, how the fuck did I get here? I just graduated from high school. I had a tumultuous summer before that already. My 18-year-old summer, and then my younger sibling was born, and it was like, it was just a lot. There was too much. There was too much happening at the same time, back to back to back. So I was, like I said, I was in the position, and not, I want to be mindful and careful of how I put this, because somebody's going to take this the wrong way. Somebody always takes something that I say and makes it go left. I was in such a low vibration that everything that was happening to me, like, I was just so open to it. You get what I'm saying? Like, so for example, you put me now in that situation, it would completely go a totally different way, because I'm not saying I'm at the highest frequency vibration. I love myself so much that, like, I probably wouldn't even have seen that man. He probably wouldn't exist on the frequency that I exist on right now. You get what I'm saying? So, I was just in a dark place. I was in a really dark place at that time. And I coped by smoking. I was high all the time, and if I could get a drink, I would. But my choice of drug was weed and to disassociate. So in the act, I just was not there at all. Like, I wasn't physically there.
So, can you talk a little bit about your connection between the PTSD and the experiences you went through?
Oh, girl, yes. So, up until a couple years ago, um, I went through this phase where I didn't want to be touched. There are still times where I have to feel safe. Like, I'm very intentional on who I surround myself with now. And I love and I require emotional intelligence. Um, Even in my family, like, if we can't connect on that, like, I just won't fuck with you. And it's not because I don't love you. I love you, but I'm not safe in your space. You don't have my highest and best interest at heart, so I'm not gonna come around you because you're gonna make little jokes, or you're gonna do something that triggers me, and I don't live my life like that. I'm very intentional. But up until a couple years ago, my, like, romantic relationships, my sexual relationships, um, very chaotic, very chaotic. And what I mean by that is, one in particular, like, there was, and this isn't chaos. Me saying asexual, like, isn't chaos. It's just what led up to me feeling like that. There was a lot of um, discord and toxicity in that relationship, because I was still unwinding. Like, people got to understand, when you go through that level of trauma, you're going to be healing for the rest of your life. And I say this all the time because there's this facade on Instagram and this facade on social media and YouTube, that there are people, like, selling, come work with me, I'll heal you. Absolutely. Come get this work, I'll heal you. If you do X, Y, and Z, you'll be healed. And it's like, no, absolutely not. when people say that to you, I encourage you to actually run the other way, because there is something that is not embodied about that person. Because if you feel like you can hit a plateau in this lifetime, why are you here? There's no reason for you to be living, breathing in your physical skin. Healing is continuous. So, as I was unwinding the layers of this trauma in my 30s, I'm 38 right now, but in my early 30s, I got to a point where I was like, oh, I'm asexual. I don't like to be touched. I don't want to have sex. I don't like how it feels. And that was directly connected to the PTSD. It wasn't that I was asexual. It was that when I was having sex, it was taking me right back there. It was taking me back to those moments that I disassociated, and now I was having to look at it, but I'm looking at it with this person that I'm in relationship with that ain't got shit to do with what I went through. So it would come up in that scenario. It would come up if somebody, mostly men, unfortunately, would like raise their voice to a certain octave that that person that was abusing me raised their voice to, sent me right back to me and him fighting. I would have like night terrors. I would wake up in the middle of the night laying next to my partner. And I remember one time, it's not funny, but it's funny because afterward we were able to laugh about it. But I remember waking up and just smacking the shit out of him and be like, what you do that for? And I was like, I don't know. I felt like you were the dude and it really had nothing to do with you. And at that point, he had already had a little bit of an understanding of what that process looked like. But still, like, I don't want to hurt this person that I was with because somebody else hurt me. Like, hurt people.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So that healing process has been continuous. Now the level that I'm at, again, I'm very intentional. I'm an advocate for therapy, and also I believe that therapy can be re-traumatizing on so many levels, especially if you don't have a therapist that can speak to your experience. What I mean by that is like demographics matter, like representation matters. Like I've been sexually traumatized, so somebody is going to feel more comfortable working with me that has been through some level of sexual trauma because I've been through it. So I know what the fuck that looks like. I know what it feels like. I know the PTSD, the anxiety, all the things that come with it. I've gone to therapists that have just been like, so what happened? And tell me about it. Start at the beginning. And it's like, whoa, that happened to you? And it's like, girl, yeah, that happened to me. What are you doing to help me ground at the end of this session? Or you just sending me off into the streets. And I'm activated again. And now I'm back in fight or flight, and I'm reliving that until next week, until I gotta come sit on this couch with you and talk about this shit again. There are other modalities, again, that I think everybody deserves access to, where we could go to that specific experience and rip that shit out at the root. So then we could really start the healing process in a safe environment. And when I mean safe environment, I mean within your body. Like, I want you to feel safe. You deserve to feel safe to do this work. And again, I'm an advocate for therapy still, even though I do not agree with it sometimes in certain situations. I'm an advocate for hiring mentors and investing in yourself in that way. You are your best investment. It gives you the best return on investment. You pouring alkaline water into your body every day, that's an investment. You putting high frequency sounds in your brain waves every day, that's an investment. You spending time with the people that you choose to spend time with, you're investing your time. Everything is an investment. So I'm so intentional on even here being in your space. I was like, Spirit, am I supposed to be on this podcast? I got a clear yes. It was loud too. And I was like, cool, let's do it. I'm very, and my space is so sacred. Like I'm careful with who I let in, and not in a protective, scared type of way. Just I've been through a lot, and my energy is mine, and I'm going to choose who I give it out to. Yeah, there's so many layers. I'm thinking of so many things in my head. I'm like, okay, calm down.
Wow. You just never know what someone is going through or what they have been. And to just double back on what you said about protecting your peace, being intentional on who's around you. I agree with that 100%. If you're around people who are not on the same path that you're on, you're going to be doing what they're doing. So I totally agree with that. What were some of your biggest challenges in breaking free from human trafficking?
Whew. So to make a long story short, it wasn't that like I escaped or anything like that. When you asked me earlier how I was coping, I was buying weed. So I bumped into a guy, and this, I can't make this story short, but I'm gonna do my best. I feel like I met an earth angel who was actually dubbed as a drug dealer, and I bought some weed from him, and he prophesized over me. And I couldn't understand why this man was like preaching to me while I just wanted to buy some weed. I was like, I just want to smoke. Like, I need to get high so I can go do what I have to do. And I can't be seen with you because you look like me. So I'm not allowed to be seen with you or I'm really going to get fucked up. And this man prophesized over me in a way. He was like, if you keep coming out here, you're going to die. Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. You're a queen. Like, this is not your birthright. Your birthright is greatness. I mean, like, prophesizing. And it had me prophesizing so much that I was like, well, am I high already? Because why is this man talking to me like this? And he eventually, he robbed me also, which makes it another layer to this story. He robbed me, and while he was robbing me, he even prophesized more. He was like, listen, I'm telling you, if you come back out here, you're going to die. And I'm not doing this because I want to hurt you. I'm doing this because this is the only way that you learn. You learn by experience. So if I do this to you, you'll stop coming out here. He didn't hurt me. He didn't touch me. He literally folded my clothes. Like, he had me stripping everything, folded my clothes and put them at the end of the street, which I thought was weird. I didn't know how he had enough time to do that, which is why I call him my earth angel, and what leads me to the next part of the story. A couple days later, and I have to rewind a little bit, I got smart. So I started to hide in the casinos and take the $20 that I got at the top of the day, put it in this penny slot, and I would win the money that I needed to make by the end of the night. So toward the end of the trafficking, I literally was just sitting in the casino playing penny slots and drinking Shirley Temples and this one beautiful cocktail lady. I don't remember her name or what, but she was an earth angel, I feel, also, because she would let me sit in there and she knew I wasn't 21. So I'm coming out the casino and I'm yelling because, again, I'm still sassy. I'm still myself. And I'm ready to go. And I could see my pimp / fake boyfriend and his brother in the car. And I'm like, yo, I'm calling your phone. Why aren't you answering? Blah, 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 blah. And the brother gets out and he's like, Reese, run. And I'm like, run? I'm not running. I'm ready to go. Like, what are y'all talking about? And I look at them running. I turn around and there's a gun in my face. So I turn, I run. And if you know anything about, I was trafficked in Atlantic City, New Jersey. If you know anything about Pacific Ave, like, there's always cars going, there's always jitneys going. All I remember is running and then being in this corner store off of Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. And I was like, wow, this is what heaven looks like? Because it all happened so quick. I didn't smoke that night. I didn't do anything to be inebriated. I was in the store. I ran, and then I was in the store. And I was like, damn, this is corny. I was like, heaven is a corner store. Like, all the stories are lies. And I was like going through this mental, kind of like shock. Like, where the fuck am I? Why am I in the store? And the brother walked in and he looked at me and we both gave each other the same look. He was like, well, how did you get in here before I got in here? And I looked at him the same way. And then the boy that was trafficking me, he walked in with 4 bullet holes, 4 gun wounds, no exit wound. So the bullets were just ricocheting in his body. And that's how I got out. Because he could no longer force me to go out there. He was still very abusive. He still found me, later stalked me, still was hitting me, still was sexually traumatizing me. But that is how I got out of trafficking. He got shot 4 times with no exit wound. And when I think about it, there's no way for me to, scientifically and logically outrun these men and no pumps. And I was like, oh, the earth angel, he carried me. He carried me in the store. He told me. I had this divine warning like 3-4 days prior and I didn't listen. And it wasn't that I didn't want to listen, like I was forced to come out there. And I feel like because like Not like, oh, because I was so pure, and not in that sense, but because I really didn't want to be out there. Like, I was spared, and because my gifts and my purpose is so much bigger, and it wasn't ever supposed to end right there. Like, that's why I was able to live, and that's why I felt like I was carried in that store, so I could be a testimony for other women and to let them know, like, hey, I went through this. I hated my body for years. I felt disgusting for years. I hated myself for years. And if I could go through that and be where I am now, and this is not even where I'm going, like, I'm still becoming who I was meant to be. But if I can make it through that and be sitting right here and talking to you, you can make it through whatever the fuck you're going through.
Right.
You really can, with the proper help and with the proper support. You really can.
Wow, Sharice.
Yeah, I'm sweating and everything.
I'm just like, I'm taking in everything that you're saying, and I'm like, wait, what? You were warned 3 or 4 days before, and then that took place. You ended up being the first person in the store. Wow. Definitely protected.
Definitely. I say it all the time, like, be spiritually protected, spiritually respected. Like, spirit don't play about me. Spirit does not play about me. And I say that often, that you cannot play with pure-hearted people. And that's what I wanted to say. Like, at the end of the day, like, I'm a pure-hearted person. I'm a lover girl. I am one of the nicest people you will meet. There's an opposite side to that, because we live in duality. So if you do some shit to me that doesn't sit right with me, I'm gonna cuss you the fuck out. Yeah, my mom was like that. My mom was light love and hell and holy fire. And I think that we live in a society that wants you to be one way or the other. Like, you either have to be light or love, or you have to be like a witch and of the darkness. And it's like, I'm like a beautiful mixture of light and dark. So, like, it depends on where I'm at in my life, what frequency I'm on. And that doesn't mean that I don't control my emotions, because I very much do. I'm not just cussing you out like I used to when I was younger, but there are situations where people have to be told about themselves in the firmest way possible. And I'm not that person that's ever going to sugarcoat it. You know what I mean? And I say this often, and people are tripped out about it, but maybe we agreed to have this little ripple, and for me to cuss you out, or for you to cuss me out, before we dropped into these physical bodies, so that I could grow in some way, shape, or form, or so you could grow in some way, shape, or form. Everything is not light, love, and bubblegum. Like, one light doesn't exist without dark, and dark doesn't exist without light. Like, they both are allowed to exist at the same time. I've said this also. My life has been devastatingly beautiful since my mother's passed. It has been the most devastating time I've ever experienced. Even to me, I feel like it's worse than being trafficked, because I can claim that back. Can't get my mom back.
Right.
So that is devastating. But it's also been beautiful, because I'm living a completely different life. Like, it's literally before my mom passed and after my mom passed. So, like, I've become a whole different woman walking this earth without the person who birthed me. Like, that is also it poetically beautiful in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. Since all this healing you've been doing, the therapy, have you forgave the boyfriend and the mother?
Oh, the mother that said what she said about me being trafficked.
Have you forgave your mom? Your mom.
Oh, excuse me. Absolutely. And that's something that yeah, thank you for clarifying too. Thank you for clarity. I have forgiven my mom. There are some things that, I'm going to be perfectly honest, that I'm still working through. And I think, again, this journey is continuous. So when I grow and when I elevate to another level, right? And not in a way of being superior and somebody else being inferior, or me, this version of me being superior to another version of me, because I don't think like that either. But when I level up, there's going to be another layer of myself that I haven't discovered yet, right? That I haven't gotten to meet or know or experience. And there may be a layer of trauma with my mom that pops up at that level that I get to unpack and that I get to sit with. So yes, I forgave her at the to the capacity that I can and that I could have at the version of myself that I am today. You know, tomorrow something might pop up that opens up a whole nother can of worms that I get to dive into, and I'm gonna gracefully kicking and screaming dive into it, because healing isn't fun, right? Sometimes that shit isn't fun. We on Instagram we see it, it's aesthetically pleasing and it's sound bowl healings and it's sage and crystals and therapy sessions and I don't know, coffee mocha lattes, and that's not the fuck what it is. You know, healing is ugly. It is very ugly. It's you crying on the floor. It's you being like, what the fuck is going on in my life? And how the fuck did I get here? And what am I going to do next? And also, that thing that I did 2 years ago, I did that. Somebody didn't do that to me. I chose to do that. I chose to move in that way. I had to take honest inventory of my actions and my character, and I get to choose to grow, or I get to stay complacent and do the same shit over and over again. So I think that I've healed, I've forgave her, and I am healing to the capacity that I can at the version that I am right now. Now, when you say boyfriend, you mean the person that pimped me or my ex-boyfriend?
The one that pimped you.
So I've actually seen him on 2 separate occasions years after that happened. And I believe that I've forgiven him to the level that I can forgive him at this version of myself. I know that there's more. There's always going to be more. Again, because healing is continuous. And also, there are just parts of me that I feel like were taken in that situation that still make me really fucking angry at the end of the day when I sit and I think about it. So yes, I forgive him, but I have to continue forgiving him. He is somebody that is on my forgiveness list every month at the full moon. Trust me, I'm writing his name down angry every month at the full moon, and it's not because I haven't moved past it or anything like that. It's just that, you know, this is what healing looks like. I'll remember something, I'll smell something, and it'll send me right back. And then I get to unpack that. I get to release that. I get to process that and integrate that. Right. I think that we skip those steps in the healing journey because social media is TikTok and everything's instant gratification and like, you know, fast. And healing is a lifelong journey. And those who decide to step on that journey are some of the bravest people that walk this earth, because everybody's not going to do this work. It's not for the faint of heart. You will question your sanity multiple times on your healing journey. Right. You will question everything about your life. So yes, I forgave him at the level that I could forgive him at right now. And also I have to say this, and I know that I'm going to get stoned for saying this, but I don't give a fuck. You know, being where I am now in my life, when I think about him, it's not really like flaming, raging anger like it used to be. It's more so like, damn, like who treated him like that when he was a child, that he thought it was okay to do this and this and this to me? Like, what the fuck type of childhood did he have? And I also know a little bit about his childhood. I know he watched his mom be abused. After you get shot and you somebody's caring for you, you start telling these things and having these intimate conversations. And it's like, you know, I forgave his younger self that was afraid and fought me, because 90% of the time, 95% of the time, it was his inner child literally replaying the shit that happened that he saw and he was just acting it out. That's what I think society like is confused about. Everybody's like, oh, this, did you forgive him? Like, no, let me forgive his inner child, because at the end of the day, from 0 to 7 or 11, your subconscious mind is formed. Everything you see from that time span is 95% of your experience as an adult. So if you're seeing your mom get her ass whooped every day, if you're seeing your dad yell and that's how he rules his house, you're going to mimic that 95% of the time in your adulthood, unless you go back and you do that subconscious rebirthing, you do subconscious healing, you rewire those parts of yourself, and you let them know, like, hey, this is not what, that's not what it is. And I also don't believe in right or wrong, but like, this is not what I want my life to be. Right. This is what I would prefer my life to be. We need to rewire that and let that go. And I think it goes a little further back. That's why I say generational trauma. I'm heavy on rewiring generational trauma patterns and wounds, because I was in my mom's womb. My mom was molested. I spent 9 months in a womb that was taken advantage of when it should have never been. My mom spent 9 months in a womb in the same situation. My grandma spent 9 months in the womb in the same situation. I was in my grandma's womb. I was an egg in my grandma's womb. There was no way for me not to be sexually traumatized in this lifetime. It just, there was no spiritual and energetic way, unless my mom had the tools to do what I'm doing now, and she didn't. And she did the best that she could with the tools that she had. And my family gets upset when I say I'm reparenting myself and I wasn't nurtured as a child, and that's my truth. That is my fucking truth. And my mom didn't have the tools to nurture me. She was an abused child. They all were. How can you nurture from that space? I'm not mad about that. I don't say it to be angry or to attack her character. Not at all. I love my mom, and I still love my mom. And she did the best that she could with the tools that she had, but she didn't have the tools that I have. So it is my responsibility to do what I need to do and to get my fucking healing. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm also paying it forward and helping other women do the same.
Ooh, you unpacked a lot. I'm proud of you.
Sure did. That's why I took a breath. Sure did.
I'm super proud of you. I'm just
thank you.
Super, super proud of you. And I'm excited to see what's to come for you in the future, for sure. For you, your business, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
So looking back,
me too.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wow. I was speechless, because I knew you coming on. We already knew what we were, you were going to talk about. It was going to be discussed today. But to actually hear you speak about it and that pain and just, it can definitely be, we use this word a lot throughout the podcast, but it can definitely be triggering for a lot of people, and also very emotional, so whew, I'm just proud of you, girl.
Thank you. You too. I'm a reflection of you, so I know you've been through some shit. So if you're proud of me, that means you're proud of yourself.
Yes, indeed.
So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. So looking back, how have you transformed from being a survivor into someone who thrives?
I would say my number one thing is really having the support that I deserve, right? Not that I need, but that I deserve. Making sure that I am my first priority and taking care of myself, that ish. I say that all the time. Putting myself in spaces where I feel safe. And if I don't feel safe, I speak up and I let people know that I don't feel safe. With all this sass and all this passion, it comes out. It's come out quite a few times. But just the work that I've been doing this work. I would say we're all on a spiritual journey, right? So it's not like you don't get to a moment where you're like, I had my spiritual awakening. Like, I hear people when they say that, but like, we've been on this shit. Like, you came in, you incarnated knowing that you were going to awaken in this lifetime. I feel like that encounter that I had when that man prophesied over me, I feel like that was my conscious awakening. Like I was like, oh shit, like what was this? Because there were just a lot of mystical things that happened in between. Like the house that we walked to doesn't exist. Like it's not a real house. There's so many layers to that. But putting myself in spaces where there are people that are where I want to be and gravitating towards them. So like I said, I probably have been consciously like investing in myself since I was about 23. So 23, I'm 38 now. That's about 15 years of healing work, like active healing work, because we always are healing,
Right.
but active, like conscious, deliberate, intentional. I'm putting up money for life coaches. I'm putting up money for spiritual mentors. 15 years of healing. And this is still just the beginning because I'm still becoming who I was meant to be. And this is like, I feel like I'm at the beginning of that version of myself. Support. The support is important. Put yourself in spaces with people who are already where you want to be. I say it all the time. My first life coach changed my fucking life. Her name is Carla Chin. I spoke about her in the last podcast I was in. She was my life coach, and I didn't know what that was back then. But I hired her because I was like, oh, whatever, I need what she has. I wanna be where she is, and I need her help to get there. It was not a question of, oh, how much did it cost? It was, I can't afford not to work with her because I can't afford to keep living my life the way I'm living it. That's where I was at.
Shout out to her.
Mm-hmm. I love her so much.
For those who may be currently trapped in a situation that's similar to your story, what message would you share with them?
I think that I needed to hear that, like, my family loved me and that they would never want me to go through something like that. There are people out there that are ready and willing to support you. There are actual, like, I went to Atlantic City not too long ago, and in the restroom there was like a picture, and it was a picture of a phoenix, and my logo is a phoenix rising, and I was like, wow. And it was like, if you're being trafficked or somebody's hurting you, like, take a picture of this QR code and like we'll get you out of there. And that is my suggestion. Get the fuck out. Like, get out however you can. And also, if you're already out and you're in this space where you're like, oh, I really hate my body, and you're trying to come to terms with it, or you don't even want to acknowledge it, you gonna have some work to do. It would be in your highest and best interest to acknowledge it sooner than later. Unpack it in a safe space with somebody. I'm available. I know you're available.
Yes.
There are therapists that specifically work with people who have been through sexual trauma. Make sure you find the right person. And also, if you have deep childhood trauma, which I'm sure you do if you're in that situation, there's deeper work to be done. But number one, get safe. That's the number one thing. Make sure you get yourself to safety, whatever that looks like. Take a picture of those QR codes. Call somebody. Leave if you can safely. Safety is always my. I say. I'm hearing my niece's voice right now. She said it early. Safety first, Reese. Like, it's a safety first. I want you safe, and then, deal with that person the way that they need to be dealt with. And I know people are like, call who you need to call. Make sure that person pays for what they did to you. And I mean, like, the authorities, not like your brother or something like that. I mean, like, call the proper people and make sure that this person is held accountable for hurting you and harming you in the way that they did. And get the help that you deserve. And again, if you've been through it and you're looking for support, I got you. I'm here for you.
I love that. So before we wrap up this interview, What is something you would tell your younger self?
Sex does not equate to love. That was easy. It's my number one thing. Sex does not equate to love. It
Yeah.
just doesn't. And I thought that at one point, my younger self was very much like, "Oh, well, if I give him my body, like we together, we go together, like that's it." And that's not it. I was looking for love, through my body, and that also has been a healing journey. And that also plays into the trafficking and all the other things that I experienced. It's like a beautiful full circle moment, because next week I'm holding an event called Untamed for women who have been through sexual trauma and that want to feel at home in their body. And when I was going through it and years after, like I said, I hated my body. I think it was like 23 to 25 was when I was like, oh, like, I love this. It's beautiful. I have agency over this. It was very much like a welcoming home, like a homecoming to myself. And I know that women that have been trafficked, there is a disconnection because of the disassociation, especially if you involuntarily had to do it, or you involuntarily had to do anything with your body that you did not
Yeah.
consent to. There's a moment of disconnection. So when you get to come back home to yourself, like, that is a homecoming that is a outer body experience that I still cannot put into words. It's hard for me to like articulate what that feels like. But when I do it passionately, it's like, oh, I got agency over this. Like, this is mine. I'm a bad bitch, regardless of what I went through. Like, I'm still beautiful. I'm still sexy. And even though I've been trafficked, I'm still allowed to show up and show skin and not be judged and not be chastised because of the things that I've been through, and not be called, a whore because I did these things. It's like, okay, and like the person that these judgments are coming from, and from society, it's like, really, when people judge other people, they really feel that way about themselves on some level, and it
That's
just hasn't been dealt with yet. It's like, girl or boy, like,
right.
you just mad because I feel at home in my body and it's triggering to you. Like, how dare I, somebody that was trafficked, flaunt this and feel so comfortable? Like, who do I think I am? I'm Sharice motherfucking Tareva, and I made it through all that shit. That's who the fuck I think I am.
Let them
Like,
know. Let them
yes,
know. It
yes.
was such a pleasure having you here, Sharice.
I
Is
loved it. Thank you.
is it any way that we can connect with you?
Absolutely. You could find me mostly on Instagram at Sharice, which is SHARICE Sharice Tareva. And if you want to email me, if you would like to have like a more direct, intimate conversation, my email is hello@sharicetareva.com. And if you're like, girl, fuck that, I want to know what your program look like, you can go to www.sharicetareva.com and you can see everything that I offer there. And if you have any questions, email me or DM me. And if you are looking for some healing to start right away, like I said, I am hosting a 3-day immersion that starts on Monday at 7 p.m. And every day we will be diving deeper and deeper into subconscious healing and sexual trauma. It's going to be deep. And if you're ready to go there, come get this work. I will have a private community also where it will be like I'm coaching you for 3 days. So you'll have direct access to me in a group container, and it is going to be truly a healing experience. And you will not come out on the other side the same way you came in. You will be different.
I love that.
Thank
All the
you.
information she just stated will be linked in the description. Go check her out. Go check out her website. You can find her on Instagram. Just go tap into what she has going on.
Thank
And with
you.
that being said, thank you so much for joining us on Her Story Untold Studios today. This conversation has been incredibly raw,
Yes.
powerful, and inspiring. To
Thank
anyone
you.
listening who has faced trauma, whether it's similar to our guest experience or something entirely different, please know that there is always hope and a path forward. Healing is a journey. Sharice said it
Mm-hmm.
all throughout her testimony. Healing is a journey. It's not something that's
Mm-hmm.
an overnight thing. Please do not listen to these healing gurus on the internet. A lot of things are fabricated, okay?
Yeah,
This takes
absolutely.
a lot of courage, resilience, and support, but it is possible, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, your story is not over, and your future is still yours to create. Until next time, keep rising, keep healing, and keep rewriting your story. Talk to you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.